Hello, and welcome to Dente, Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have Summer Break. So, Summer Break is the last installment of the Curtisville stories by M.M. Pratt, 99.
Oh, when you said Summer Break was the next one, I thought we were taking a break and I didn't have to read and we were just going to hang out.
No.
Oh.
No, sorry, man.
Well, then.
I'm not prepared at all.
I'm not. I'll wing it, it's fine.
That would explain why you're wearing a bathing suit and, like, one of those sun hats.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
On top of your ninja outfit. I was pretty concerned. Like, you have bathing suit over your pants.
I have to be prepared at all times to be a ninja. Yeah.
Alright.
It's fine.
So is that why you're at the beach ball, too?
Duh.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I mean, it's summer vacation pretty soon, or among us.
Not for me, apparently.
Well, yeah, sorry.
That's fine.
For most of our listeners, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And this one is it's the final story in the Curtisville stories. So I figured, it's kind of nicely in tune with the season and such. So let's do that one. Like I said, it's by M.M. Pratt 99. You can find them on deviantart.com or on the creepypasta.wiki site. And I guess we'll just jump right into this one. So, Summer Break starts off with a unnamed character.
Nair. My favorite character of all time.
Yeah. And she's going to summer camp. So she is, but she's a little nervous about it because she's heard some stories from her sisters about the camp and such, and also some other things that she's going to get into.
Yeah, this Nair does have a gender, at least.
Yeah.
At least an assumed gender.
Yeah.
Based on everything.
Yeah, I know. So she gets onto the bus. It's fairly crowded, and she pulls out her newspaper to start reading on basically it's like supernatural and mundane affairs. Like it's got like elf celebrities and their scandals and such. Mm-hmm. And then something happens where she starts having a flashback to what her sisters were talking about, or about her, or like that scared her about like this trip and like otherwise. And it's about the.
It was a number of years ago too.
Yeah, it was a few years ago. Yeah, it was actually back in 2003, I believe, when the last story happened, because that was and that was the what the hell are they called? Not the Crawfords. The
Chalmers.
The Chalmers like murder, like that mass murder and the bunker that was behind their house and the creepy vending machines and stuff like that. So her sisters were telling her about like what happened that night, like for that stuff, and also telling her about this like monster. Like there was a seventh Chalmers child. But there was only 6 Chalmers Chalmers children discovered in the massacre. And it's like, well, there was a 7th one in that bunker behind the house, and it got bigger and bigger as they'd feed it more flesh and stuff like that. And then it broke out, and in conjunction with the Farliath incident, which was like the Farliath, the Gray Man, like causing like a ruckus and like disappearing people. This creature was also responsible for killing Jehovah's Witnesses and other people around like the town and stuff like that.
And the reason it was a monster is because of like complications in the process that the parents did to themselves and all the children to make them all look like elves.
Yes, because they're outer humans, like they're Hualan.
They're a word that I didn't attempt to pronounce.
Yeah. Fair.
It's that one, yeah. Though, yes.
Yes. Like it's, and as far as I know, there's no actual. It's like it might be just a made up term for the story world. Mm-hmm. But yeah, basically they're outer they're humans from another reality or something like that. They've moved to the real world. And yeah, they've modified themselves genetically to be more elven, and in that process, something went horribly wrong, and the 7th child became like monstrous, like bat wings, scaly, furred.
Not immediately, but
No,
through all the through it being locked in the bunker and partially starved by eating once a week.
Yeah, and being fed like just platters of like raw flesh. And so
unknown origin.
Apparently that's what broke out of the bunker, and that's why there's a massacre down in the bunker. Which makes the difference. What about those vending machines? But anyway, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But our narrator rolls her eyes because her sisters had just watched a documentary on the Jersey Devil, so they're kind of like she thinks that they're just kind of like blending in like the story, the stuff they heard from that documentary into the Chalmers case. That is until they show her a bunch of newspapers articles from that time of a Curtisville monster that was like causing like disappearances in animals and people, including near that campground that they're going to. Then they, I believe, talk about the two kids that died. Not at the Chalmers place, but at like where Miss Green, Constance Green, died. Because apparently there's another kid there too that died, like on the ground, and where Credence died on like the electric pole or on the electric wires. And they were talking about how like they never found the missing hand, and then Nair accuses her sisters of like having the hand. Is like, no, we didn't take the hand, but we know who did, or we saw somebody who did. And apparently that night when all that stuff was going on, this like ghost creature that was like a student that they knew from school.
Well, first they're woken up by like taps on the window.
Yeah, like a couple of times. Like that's happened in some of the other stories. Like there's a tap on the windows, and they went to go check because they realized there was a pattern to it, like almost like a code. Yeah. And then they went to the window, and it was this like pale, like ghostly face of a classmate they knew, who they hated. As apparently all these kids hate them, their fellow classmates.
Well, I mean, they give legit reasons as to why they hate this person.
Yeah. And she was this ghost person was carrying the hand in one of their hands. And the
reason that they know it was Constance's hand is because like two of her fingers were fused together on both hands.
Yeah, she had that. I wish I'd looked at it. I wish I'd remembered that.
It's the webbing.
Yeah, the webbing hands. It's the same thing that Thane from Mass Effect had.
Does he?
Yeah, he actually has like where it's like the two fingers are fused together.
Oh.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Feature me. Add in what it was called now.
Syndactyly.
Yeah, it's like that.
According to Google Translate. Or is it Google Translate or Google Pronunciation?
Pronunciation.
Okay.
Yeah. Which knows all.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
In this day and age, really. But yeah, so going back to what we were saying, so she had that, so that's how we figured out where the hand was, or whose hand it was. And so they did what any other rational person would do, and pulled out a flare gun and fired it at the ghost
in the window,
and it went through the window, shattering the pane and smacking this thing in the face,
giving it pain as well.
Yes,
I would imagine.
Oh, hopefully. And it's not just any flare gun, as we find out. It's a lip switch flare gun,
contraband flare gun,
a Lipzig flare gun. Which is a steampunker flare gun from the steampunk, that imperialist steampunk dimension that the sister got from the Goblin Market at a raffle in Terrapin Station.
I think the funniest part is it's from a raffle.
Yeah, I know. So shortly thereafter, they run downstairs. They get like bats and stuff like that. And go hunt and go after the ghost because it went back down to their property, like down to their backyard area, or to the side of the house. And they find dogs there, not hellhounds, just regular dogs.
A lot of them
that were chasing the ghost thing. So they went after it as well, and they eventually, I think, catch up to it.
I was about to refer to all the dogs as Scooby-Doo and then realize that, yes, it does become a Scooby-Doo moment because they're all just chasing
around the house multiple times. Yes, they run around the house 6 or 7 times. They even comment that it was like a Looney Tunes cartoon. And I think it either gets away or they just like beat it down and it vanishes.
They hear sirens.
Okay,
from cops showing up, and then they just dart into the woods and bail.
Yeah, and then the cops show up and almost arrest the sister who hit the flare gun for arson and murder because she had a weapon that, or I guess she did technically have a tool of that could have caused what happened in the Chalmers and all that stuff. But eventually she's proven innocent, and because she has some good alibis as to where she was when all that was going on. Like, so they didn't come up empty-handed that night, though. They did actually find something of interest. Apparently, under one of their shoes while they were running around and stuff, they found a photo. And they actually have the photo, and they give it to Nair to look at. And it's got, like, a bunch of girls. 5 teenage girls hovering mid-air in front of a ruined wall. Their faces just blurry smears. And just as they were standing still, suddenly we're thrown back from the flashback to the bus as she's like seeing that in like her memory, and that's why she went to that flashback in the first place, because as she was leafing through her newspaper, there was the photo, and it had been locked in a drawer. By her sister, and her sister had never seen her sister pull it out and put it in her stuff.
It's also a new newspaper that she just bought.
Exactly, yeah. So like, how the hell did this make it there? So that's basically the story. Kind of ends there with that kind of chilling, like, discovery that the creepy photo of like the girls there, and one of them is missing in the photo. There's now four girls. Mm-hmm. And that's basically it. Yep. That's how the story ends. So I would like to apologize for how usually hack and slash that rundown was.
Mm-hmm. It's up to standard.
Yeah. So I guess we'll continue on with everyone expects the grammar inquisitions at this point. Pull up my notes. So, I'm going to start off with a nitpick. Sometimes you may have really horrible days descending upon you without any hint of warning. So for me, this is a really, really nitpicky. With any hint of warning, could have been with any hint or warning. But it honestly could have gone either way. It's super nitpicky.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
Like, I'm struggling to try to comprehend.
The next one I have. It felt good, but I knew this refreshing breeze wasn't going to last once we reached the mountains, and by the time we get to the Willow Creek Riders Camp, it was going to be stifling hot and muggy. So a little long-winded, because that's all one sentence with a few commas. Really hope
you want to repeat that?
No, it's fine.
Just might have a guest host of your tummy.
Yeah, apparently. Also, it should be got, not get, to keep the past tense.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole time it was past tense, and then it suddenly became present tense when we get to the Willow Creek Riders Camp.
She never actually gets there.
I know. Don't even get me started on that.
Oh, okay.
Wait till my actual thoughts on that.
All right.
Leafing absent-mindedly through the pages of the usual weighty multiverse matters and elven celebrity scandals, I found myself wondering about. I found myself wondering about what the 2 weeks of Camp Kimtu would be like. Okay, so I love the urban fantasy vibes we're getting here, as per the norm of the Curtisville stories. However, this is my grammar inquisition part. Is it elfin or elven? In the first paragraph, it's an elfin, as an ELFIN, airship that she's talking about. But now we have it's elven, as an ELVEN.
Yeah, because...
Are there two spellings or factions?
No, I think it's pretty clear.
Really?
The elfin airship is an elfin airship. The airship is called elfin.
Because the elves are in it.
Because it has fins on it.
Oh.
But it is elven.
But it kind of looks like an elephant, so
Also that.
like the dorsal fins, of the
Common elephant, yes.
the dorsal fins of the aircraft of the airship.
Yes.
That they have steering paddles, and so that kind of look flappy like elephant wings. So they call it the elephant wings or elephant ears. Sorry, elephant ears. Sorry, it's like Dumbo. Like elephant
ears. There are wings to him. That's fine.
So it just left me as are there two spellings? I mean, technically, elfin is a spelling when you're talking about an elven thing, because elf or elves.
But you just said it's an elven thing. It's entirely possible that it's just
two or otherwise
either both work or whatever.
Yeah, the bottom of this is I feel like it should just be one or the other, not two, or explain why there are two distinctions between elven and elfin.
Any elven vehicle that's made has to start with EL, and because it has lots of fins on it, it is the elfin.
Clearly,
it's an elven elfin.
All right. Well, I wish that would be explained in the story.
Yeah, me too. I wish they went to the dealership.
Well,
yeah,
talked about all the different vehicles.
Oh god! Also, I just want that story.
Well, I took it a different way.
Oh, did you?
Which is the vehicles are elf in, so the elves are inside the vehicle.
That's true.
The elves are inside the airship, inside the computer. It's probably not picking up. Maybe. Cool. Don't worry, Levelator will get it.
As Levelator's shaking its fist at you.
My next one, after that, it made good its escape into the dark forest area around
sorry, before you continue, there was another grammar thing that you mentioned in the previous one that I picked up when you read it.
Okay, what was that?
Read it again.
The leafing absent-mindedly through the pages of the usual weighty multiverse matters and elven celebrity scandals, I found myself wondering about what the 2 weeks
Stop.
would be like.
Stop.
Wondering?
Yeah, wouldn't it just be wondering what the next 2 weeks?
Yeah. You can also remove. Yeah, I agree.
I guess it works either way.
It's just.
I'll take that as a nitpick. I haven't had one of those in a while.
No. To that you read it, this is also another long-winded sentence, so you could remove that about to kind of help streamline it a bit more.
Maybe.
I'm apparently really hungry. I started anyway. So it made good its escape into the dark forest area around town. So I would have removed area and just had it it made good its escape into the dark forest surrounding the town.
I'd remove good.
It made escape. It made good its escape is actually it's an all right descriptor for that, because that's actually a term. That's a term they made good their escape again out of the prison.
It almost sounds like it done good its escape.
Yeah, it is kind of like that kind of dialogue, but it is still appropriate for this kind of writing.
Fair.
And then this is actually a typo in a headline. One of those fictional headlines they had, one of the newspaper headlines, and my inner paginator is screaming. Mystery deepens over disappearance of 5 local girls at Fairhaven Midsummer Party. So it's supposed to be disappearance, the C is missing in disappearance.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's disappearance.
Maybe in this world,
no.
It's a different type of disappearing.
No.
Through magical means.
No.
It's disappearance.
The paginator for that headline was really sloppy. Didn't catch that typo.
No.
I mean, that's a headline. You can get into a lot of trouble as a paginator if you're the one that sends that or doesn't catch that and sends that off to press. Hope that guy got it right up.
Indeed.
And so my next one, it was pitch black, but we could still see enough because it was pale gray and luminous looking. But I knew one... Oh. God. Sorry, this does have a lot of long-winded sentences, so I gotta restart that. It was pitch black, but we could still see enough because it was pale gray and luminous looking. But I knew who it was. It was Jane Woodley, it was Jane Woodley's face. No one else in town. Yeah, no one else in town had a big-eyed, pudgy baby face with a curly, cropped, really short hairdo. Okay, that really needs a few periods in there, to break it up, and because yes, you have a comma and then a but, which is okay. Once in a sentence, not twice or 3 times.
And there's a because in there as well.
So exactly. There's too many transition areas. So you might cut that sentence into multiple sentences. Also, remove the first C because
it should be still.
No, we could still see because it's as it is. It's but we could still see enough.
Oh, okay then. Yeah.
So, but we could still see enough.
Yeah.
That would work. And maybe add an ellipses. My alternative is keep the C there, but we could see ... like ellipses or that dash. Still see to kind of add a little bit of stuttering to the dialogue, to show that there's some stuttering because it does it early later on. It's but I knew who it was. It was Jane Woodley's face.
Is this through dialogue or through?
This is actually a dialogue piece.
Then that's possible. Yeah, for sure.
The next one here is. She was a dwarfish, rather unpleasant Hualatwit. Okay, hang on. That wasn't the end of that sentence. Shit. She was a dwarfish, rather unpleasant Hualatwit of a 7th grader with a fanatical streak. Okay. This could either be slang for the outer human brats, like the Hualatwits. So it could all be one word, or they could have forgotten the space between Huala.
I think it's supposed to be a derogatory term.
Yeah, but I just wasn't sure because this is an urban fantasy story and they usually do have their own little slangs and slurs and stuff. And then my next one, most her time was spent snooping around, trying to find out secrets about her fellow classmates and close neighbors. So it's supposed to be most of her time was spent snooping around. The next one. Hoping that maybe she would just get bored and bother someone else. Okay. Sorry, I didn't read that ahead of time. Hoping that maybe she would just get bored and bother someone for a change. I think you need bother someone else for a change. It's missing else.
Oh, because that's saying that she doesn't bother anyone ever.
Exactly, yeah.
Why don't you bother someone for a change?
Yeah.
All right.
And then this one, it reminded me of raw bread dough. It needs to be reminded me of raw bread dough.
That's technically dialogue.
Yeah, but
that's the way
the character
misspells words.
That's the way the character slurs their words.
Exactly. There's a new line for the shirt.
No, I'm just gonna make that a separate shirt. Just and just have a pint of beer or something like that on the back.
Yeah.
So there she was, her weird, ugly mug staring. So there she was, her weird, ugly mug starting at us like one of those Oiwa ghost lanterns. Then Kyoto shot at it with a Leipzig flare gun, shattering the pane, and then in a wink, it was gone. So it's supposed to be staring. Also, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then my next one here is my second last one of Grammar Inquisitions. But we did find something interesting, said Izumi brightly. I think you just need to remove the second we, so it's like, but we did find something interesting. Because otherwise...
Or, but we did find something.
Exactly, yeah. Like, have like an ellipses, or like have the stuttering effect for the dialogue. And then my last one, because I knew Mizaki had looked up that... Because I knew... Right, okay, sorry. Apparently my vision is not that great, even with glasses, because I saw locked as looked. Like, I saw that C as in second O.
Enhance.
Enhance. And 12 font size. Because I knew Mizaki had locked up that photo up in her desk after she had shown it to me. Yeah, okay, that was a really bad... Blah. Because I knew Mizaki had locked up that photo up... Right, okay, that's what's fucking me up, is the actual spelling error.
Oh.
Because I knew Mizaki had locked up that photo up in her desk after she had shown it to me. Only needed one of the ups in the sentence.
But it was locked up in her desk.
Because I knew Mizaki had locked up that photo in her desk after she had shown it to me. Or... Because I knew Mizaki had locked that photo up in her desk. It just needs the one. It doesn't need the two.
What if her desk is upstairs?
Or
up in her desk?
Then say that
up on the ceiling.
In her desk upstairs, not...
And maybe her desk is hanging from the ceiling.
No.
So it makes it harder for people to break into it.
No.
In this world?
No.
In this world,
then
you're
it
saying
has
no.
to be specified.
It's up in her desk. It's right. It's right there.
Then it needs to be specified, either upstairs or up on the ceiling.
Fine. Yeah, that is one way to get around it. Upstairs in her desk. Yeah.
It's how the character lives.
Yeah.
All right, and that is my grammar positions. Mikey, do you got anything else?
Alright, I have a front end to begin with.
Yeah, okay.
You wake up with a strong sense of foreboding, and you know that things will turn sour the moment you step outside. And yet, on other days, everything seems to be going great until a sinkhole suddenly opens up while you are rollerblading, or an elfin airship crash lands into your backyard, taking out your treehouse.
Yeah, really, for, again, long-winded sentences. And honestly, you have and yet in this, like, you just need one of those, and yet is the more preferable one.
Well, the and was the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was and yet.
And yet.
Yeah.
So yet, the yet is just is actually like the, you just need the yet. You don't need the and.
Mm-hmm.
They really are like the uhs and ums.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's like a typo tick.
And then next I have a front butt.
As any good creepypasta should.
Next fall was high school, where hopefully I wouldn't get dumped in the special self-esteem class for sufferers of extreme shyness and other awkward geekiness. But I wasn't thinking about that at the moment.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, there's also actual thought there.
You need something to contrast with what you were just talking about, but it's the wrong one.
Yeah, honestly, it was not what I was thinking about. Is kind of appropriate without the but.
Yeah, and
because like it's like,
or if you want to use a contrasting thing, just use however.
Yeah, you could also go that way. Although, I feel like it was not what I was thinking about at that point. However, or actually, did I just add in a however?
Yeah.
At the end? Okay, sorry.
However's a good word, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. No matter where you put it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it just shows how different their world is, having a special self-esteem class for sufferers of extreme shyness
and
other
awkward geekiness. I mean,
God, I think all of us wish we had those back in college, back in high school.
Well, specifically anyone that's shy and geeky, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Alright, that one's already been covered, and we got another front butt. Even though they were right about the cabins being a bit rustic and outdated, they were fairly clean and well kept, plus there wasn't an animal, pest in sight, big or minuscule. But it was what they told me afterwards that scared me even more than any horror movie or scary campfire story out there. Because it happened to be true, and the incident actually occurred in my hometown.
Is that all one sentence?
No.
Okay, there's
It's front
two very long sentences, though, right?
Yeah.
Is that a front but and a front because, or is because in the middle?
Because is in the middle, because there's no ellipses before the because.
Okay.
To sort of break it up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, still pretty long. And then I can't remember if Review Cultist covered this. Did you notice the extra after?
From which one?
From the following quote. Well, that's great, I thought, flipping through after page of fear and intrigue.
I did have that, but it's not on my in my thoughts. But I did comment on that.
Yeah.
So it should just be page after page, not after page after page?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Extra after.
Yeah, I must have missed that one in my when I was gathering up my comments.
Alright, and then I have one more front butt. My sister nearly got arrested that night for firing off an illegal firearm and for arson/murder charges. But she got let go with a citation when witnesses came forward saying that she wasn't anywhere near the Chalmers mansion when the blaze took place.
So I'd go, personally, almost got arrested for using an illegal firearm, comma, but she didn't, period. She had witnesses, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately this story does suffer a lot from long-winded sentences.
Mm-hmm. Also, illegal firearm on a raffle.
Goblin Market.
Oh, yeah, goblins, yeah. Mm-hmm. Fucking goblins, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's probably illegal because it's from another universe.
Yeah.
It is from the imperialist steampunk imperialists.
That's true. That's very true.
Alright, so...
What do you got?
I know you got at least one of mine.
Sweet.
I thought I did notice you, I took that off.
Yeah, well, you got at least two
You
of
didn't
mine.
read the entire story. Not really.
Oh, okay. You meant I was like, yeah,
I meant
I
you.
did read the entire story, but
I meant in regards of grammar-related things. So mine, however, my glumness died away as soon as I started perusing my newly purchased paper, all while trying to ignore the heavy thumps of suitcases being heaved into the lower compartments. And the suggestion I have is, what's there is all a while trying to ignore. Shouldn't it be all the while trying to ignore?
Was it all of while or all?
All a while.
All a while. Yeah, it's supposed to be the while.
Then I grew up in Curtisville, by the way, and it wasn't much of a tourist mecca, despite having blah, 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 blah. And Mecca is capitalized?
Yeah, Mecca is actually the name of a city. It's where...
Mecca, a place regarded as a center for a specified group activity or interest.
Yes.
Which is the way it's used.
Okay.
Because it's talking about Curtisville as a Mecca.
Yeah.
So it's a descriptor for Curtisville.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it.
Okay, cool. All right, then on to actual thoughts. So, on to the meat and potatoes. I guess on to the potatoes. If the grammar positions and the actual thoughts are the meat and potatoes of our show, then the grammar positions would be the meat and the... Anyway.
You said on to the notes are meat and potatoes of the show. Which means the notes is the meat and potatoes. Which means, the meat is the notes and the potatoes are the final thoughts or something.
Anyway.
Yeah, the grammar...
We need to make this,
we
laid out.
Apparently.
The grammar inquisitions are the salad.
Yes, they're the appetizer.
It's the disgusting appetizers that you don't really want to eat, but they're there.
And the meat and potatoes, they're really just the meatballs and spaghetti.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the actual thoughts. If you wanted to experience supernatural horror here, you had to go see it at the movie theater or go to the nearest video rental. Are we talking about the same Curtisville as the previous stories? Because, she starts the story kind of saying like Curtisville's like there's nothing really happens in Curtisville and some of that. Oh, except for and then she goes on. It's like, oh, except for Elvin, like a possible Elvin airship crashing down. And then like,
and we went to the Goblin world for a while.
Went to the Goblin Market near Terrapin. Or is it Terrapin? Yeah, near.
But either way, that's not in Curtisville.
Yeah, apparently not. Also, I guess it is like if you're surrounded by like weird urban fantasy stuff, like everything just becomes mundane and stuff, right?
Well, it's more along the lines of like it's mundane compared to everywhere else.
Yeah,
like there's way more magical stuff going on elsewhere.
Yeah. Alternatively, it could be that like. A lot of the stuff, like the weird stuff, like the government or like the government of this world seems to like keep everything try to keep things under wraps from the mundane world. So maybe at this point in the story, I was like, all right, well maybe it's just kept secret from like a lot of people. But then she pulls out a newspaper about the multiverse matters, and then she clearly is like in league or at least like is familial with supernatural beings. Case in point, my next actual thought.
The newspaper could be talking about other towns that have more fantastical things, but there's not many things in Curtisville
that she's aware of. Even though like we've had like 4 or 5 stories that have,
she doesn't know about those.
Apparently not. Until she does, when she has a flashback about her sister telling her about the weird shit that happened that one night.
All right, you win.
But yeah, going to my next one, where I was saying like where she's kind of tied to familially to weird beings or supernatural beings. I was 8 years old, while my sisters were 10 and were mischievous as hell, which wasn't at all surprising, seeing as they were half Chickcharney. What's a Chickcharney, you may ask? Well, it's a cryptid. The Chickcharney, also known as the Chickcharney or the Chickcharney in different spellings.
The Chickcharney, and the Chickcharney.
Basically, Chickcharney with an EY, Chickcharney with an IE, and a Chickcharney with an EE.
Oh, there actually is 3.
Yeah. Is a legendary creature in the folklore of the Andros Islands in the Bahamas. It is said to live in the forests and furry, feathered, and about 3 feet. This is a grammar position on Wikipedia.
Wow, Wikipedia, get your shit together.
Yeah. What are you made by? Or what are you started up by? Like a bunch, or by anybody who can like post anything on it?
Right.
It's tall with an ugly appearance resembling an owl. In common legend, if travelers meet a Chickcharney and treat it well, they are rewarded with good luck. While treating a Chickcharney badly will result in bad luck and hard times. Thank you, Wikipedia. So, are they half-sisters? Like, is one of the parents a Chickcharney? And if that's the case, is Nair half Chickcharney as well?
I don't think so, because she said, like, they're half Chickcharney, not we're all half Chickcharney.
Is she's, again, like...
So I'm assuming they're either, like, harpies.
Yeah.
Or they're, like, furry owls.
Yeah, they're, like, I think they're, like... Yeah, like, half human, half harpy owl creatures.
Yeah.
And then, like, I guess she's a half-sister to these twins, or to these triplets?
Mm-hmm. I guess.
So that would mean are they triplets because they were all birthed out of like from 3 eggs?
Yes.
That hatched?
Yes. It's the only explanation.
And so is the dad was the dad human? Or was the mother Chickcharney for the girls? And then the dad like split up with the Chickcharney mom and eventually like hooked up with a human mom.
Who already had a child?
Yeah, or no, who then had a like so they would have had
Chickcharney mom,
human
dad, made triplets.
Then sometime after the triplets are born, in 2 years, they split up and dad meets another like a human woman, and they hook up and they have Nair. 2 years after the half Chickcharney triplets are born.
Yes, assuming that Nair is full human, which she may not.
Unless the split up wasn't like a divorcee thing or anything like that. The Chickcharney mother died, and so
that's a lot nicer.
I mean, that would be more. It would be more probably logistical that the father would take the triplets,
or just the mom is a Chickcharney there now.
Fair.
Or
We don't know any of this.
We really don't.
she could have died laying the eggs because they were larger than normal.
Oh. So they
But
could have...
Chicharn's already huge.
No, I'm thinking like the mom was human and the dad was Chichardi. But then again, that doesn't remove that... Why
Laying
is,
the eggs.
well, also that, like, why is... Like, is Nair, in fact, also half Chichardi?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mystery. I wouldn't actually. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind a story about a interspecies or interracial, not interspecies. Well, I guess it's kind of interspecies. An interracial like family dynamic is set in Curtisville. Because there's so many different factions and races in this story.
Yeah, there really
or in
is.
the series, in this world.
Like, Nair could be a werewolf for all we know.
Yeah, Wolf Cop.
No, wolf cop.
So moving right along. Instead of doing the most sensible thing, destroying the beast and alerting the authorities, they decided to lock up the fourth sibling.
Fourth?
Seventh sibling. In a nearby bomb shelter to feed her a platter of raw meat once a week. Maybe they were hoping to starve the monster, or at least keep it to a manageable size. First off, is it not the seventh child?
It's number 4 that came out.
I guess, yeah.
They
Okay.
all have
It's
numbers on their
technically-
foreheads.
It's technically the seventh child. Like it's the
There's-
seventh. No, it's the seventh of the 6 children that were killed in the Chalmers massacre. But it was the 4th one that they had.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not confusing at all.
It's not. They have the numbers tattooed on their foreheads.
Clear.
It's easy to keep straight.
And my comment on that was like, so that my actual comment on that, not just like, wait, 4th? I thought it was the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what was in the bunker that escaped, and why all those bodies were down there.
It doesn't explain why
But
the bodies
what
were there
about
at
the-
all.
Yeah, but then what about the baby vending machine? The monstrous baby vending machines?
That's the flesh they were feeding it, maybe. I don't know.
Well, basically, that's where the monster got its snacks,
Yeah.
and they didn't give it change.
Oh!
They didn't give it change the one day, and he couldn't get any snacks, so he just went on a rampage.
Yeah. I guess so.
But where the bodies come from?
Well, that's
they were-
the platters of raw meat.
That was the Supernatural Task Force trying to stop the monster.
Oh,
Yeah, clearly.
yeah. They threw a lot of bodies at them.
Yeah. Just keep going. Don't worry, we got an elemental plate of cops. Just keep throwing them in.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, yeah, I just like it. Kind of contradicts the previous stories a little bit with like, why did you talk like? But then it goes into this. At this point in the story, I was rolling my eyes. It was sounding so much like.
Oh, I thought you were
other-
just talking you yourself.
Yeah.
At this part of the story, I was just really mad.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually reading
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point in the story, I was rolling my eyes. It was sounding so much like that of another infamous mutant misanthrope. Wow, alliteration there. Who is currently terrorizing local residents in the southern New Jersey area. Not surprising, considering my sister's story coincided with a Jersey Devil documentary on Animal Planet. Okay, wait. So this story of the 7th Chalmer child is just a tall tale told by the Nair's sisters and fabricated from the Jersey Devil sightings?
That's what she's assuming at this current moment.
Yeah, for a minute I thought we were getting a huge retcon from the previous story where, like, yeah, it turns out, like, all that bunker stuff, that was actually just another, like, a monster that was in there, and it had anything to do with the Farliath creature. It left me a little confused until you get to the end, and even then, they bring up later newspaper sightings about a Curtisville monster. So was there a second monster on the grassy knoll? Like in that other story? Were there in fact 2 monsters? And
Yeah,
one,
that's why you don't know the second one's there, because it's not in the bunker. It's in a grassy knoll over
Clearly,
there, so it's
yeah.
hidden.
In fact, it is a knoll.
It's a knoll in the knoll.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And he's also in the know
Yeah, exactly.
about everything. That's why he's able to stay hidden.
Yeah, that whole section, like, it just, like, the contradictions, it seems to present contradictions to the previous stories that we've been reading up to this point. And I was just like, I'm just left kind of confused as to like what's real and what's not, or what's supposed to be canon and what's supposed to be real.
What's your problem with the contradictions? It seems like it's mainly the vending machine.
No, not just the vending machine. Like the monster is never it does try to give us like a new monster, like or explain what was down in the bunker.
Yeah,
but then what was the point of the vending machines? And like because it seemed like from the last story, it was pretty cut and dry that it was like they were. Like growing monsters out of those vending machine like.
Were they growing them out of that?
Yeah, they were like kind of like monsters, like fetuses that were growing in the vats.
Well, that's the meat that they're feeding it once a week.
That could have been it, maybe.
So instead of like murdering people to get it, they grow it.
There's all those bodies on the floor.
That was Supernatural Task Force going into fight. I know.
Remove your emplacements on the story.
Okay,
sit down. Actually, I'm legitimately want to be serious here for a second. Like, so were those bodies being fed to being put into the vending machine to process for the fetuses to be growing, and then use those as meat platters for the monster, is it just a
they get
thing?
the fetus out?
Yeah,
they pay for the fetus.
Yeah,
and then the monster is in the second layer of the bunker. And they deposit the fetus, and the way it's grown, it quickly grows into a full-sized morsel for it to eat. And that's the body on the ground. Okay. That's the closest thing I can come up with me making up shit.
Yeah, exactly. And
so,
I think the brass tacks here is that this story and the previous story need to be looked at and like reworked a little bit to make that a little bit more coherent. Because there's a little bit of like fracturing cohesion right now between the two stories.
Because like it grew and it broke out.
Yeah,
but it broke out before like they called the cops or anything.
Yeah,
so the bodies had to have been there previously.
And apparently, it's responsible for the deaths of all the Jehovah's Witnesses and some of that. Not the Far-Liath creature, which apparently was the thing responsible for it in the previous story. That's what I'm kind of getting at as well. The Gray Man was apparently was not the one that killed all those all the residents around town. When all those people were going missing. It was actually this creature. But then the sisters had just watched, the Nair points out the sisters had just watched a Jersey Devil Animal Planet documentary. So they were making up the story, and I'm just like, what's canon right now?
Okay.
How do I hold all these story ideas?
Maybe the monster is the Gray Man. And they just said it's some weird bat-like creature.
That could be it, yeah.
That's the fabrication that they got from the Jersey Devil thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it's another person's perspective. So they might not know about the Far-Liath creature, so they're just lumping things together.
And I get that. I do appreciate that we get like another party of characters in the town, and their point of view of what happened.
And because they don't know the other stuff, they're not metagaming or whatever the term is.
But at the same time, it leaves the reader who's read, like if the reader has read the other stories and reads this one, it leaves you confused as to what happened, like what actually happened. Like I just feel like it's too much convoluted like confusion to really like. Why would you like? I just feel like that should probably be removed or like be reevaluated for the story. What do I know? It's just my opinion. Moving on to the next one. I just realized that I'm going to have to read Hippopotamus My Butt. I'm surprised I heard anything at all with all the hippopotamus snoring that was going on. Hippopotamus My Butt, snapped Kyoko. I'll have you know, Mizaki sighed wearily. Ugh, just finish the damn story already. Thank you, Mizaki. Not that I don't appreciate character banter. It is enjoyable in the story, like as I was reading it. But it was starting to get a little fillery. Like they just weren't getting to the plot.
It's almost like it's kids.
I understand, and again, it was entertaining, but it's like at a certain point, like there was too much banter. It's like just get to the point of the story.
I mean, I kind of get you, but they are kids, so they're ADD, situation.
No, and I get you, and like again, I didn't.
They're chick charnies. What do you expect?
Exactly, yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you on the same boat because like I'm conflicted in this because at one point, again, I did enjoy the writing.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the characters like back and forth and that development. At the same time, at a certain point, it was like, just tell me what you're trying to tell your sister.
Yeah. Get you in the shoes of the sister.
It's like,
to really feel the frustration.
Feel her frustration.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and then the next one is okay. My mouth dropped open, and as I looked back to Kyoto. No. My mouth dropped open, and as I looked back at Kyoto, Lipsig flare gun? Where the hell did you get a steampunker flare gun at? Kyoto smiled smugly as she gave a slight shrug. Won it off a raffle at the Goblin Market in Terrapin Station. Of course you did. Seriously, I there's nothing wrong with that sentence. I really love the bizarre multiverse stuff that bleeds into these conversations.
It is pretty neat.
It adds to the whimsy and flavor of the story, while also kind of nicely contrasting the horrific stuff in these stories. And then my next one, the last one of my actual thoughts. Well, going back to Izumi's account of that infamous night, we're not actually going to camp, are we? At least not in this story. It was about the halfway point. I was like that kid really comes up, and I'm just like, okay, so I've got maybe another 2 pages left of the story. This actually isn't about going to camp and having spookiness in the camp, is it?
No.
This is just a flashback story about previous stories' events from another point of view.
Yep.
Okay. So that's
It's not like it's called summer camp.
yeah, it's not like it's called summer break.
Oh.
It's not called summer camp.
Oh, good.
It's called summer camp. Yeah, thankfully, it's not called summer camp. It's called summer break.
Mm-hmm.
But, Mikey, I have more in my final thoughts, but that's my actual thoughts for the main story. So, Mikey, D stands for evil. What do you got?
All right. So I have a quote here. Pushing open the door, I got out, while Dad opened the bag and began unloading the essential stuff I need for my 2-week stay at Camp Kimtu. Plenty of light summer clothes, sun lotion, deep bug, and fire witch repellent.
Love it.
No.
And books and sketch pads for when I wasn't doing entries or writing exercises. And my actual thought is, if there's no fire witch in this story, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Are you disappointed?
And you were disappointed.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was disappointed that we didn't get to the damn camp.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Again, I love the additions of just like normal.
It's like a whole bunch of mundane stuff.
Deep mosquito repellent. Also, it's repellent for fire witches.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, but a little bit less. It's less convoluted than the thing we had in the Far Life Weather, which was
the Titania Creeper thing.
Yeah, Titania Creeper. Yeah. Where we're like, is it a plant? Is it a fairy? Is it a tall Tenno creature, or is it a tall Warframe thing?
Yeah, that's probably what it is. I'll go with that.
God, what if in Warframe? Sorry, quick.
Don't apologize at all. Please continue.
What if in Warframe somebody made a Grineer, the Grineer made a Warframe based off Titania, and so it's like a Titania creeper.
What?
Like they took the Warframe, the Grineer developed their own Warframe or their own they modeled a new soldier, super soldier or something like that off of Titania. So that would be a Titania creeper because...
Why would it be a creeper?
Well, because Grineer are kind of creepy and...
Infested creepier.
That's true. What if Titania was infected, but it was infested by the infested?
There you go.
Damn.
Done.
Alright, show's over.
Alright, cool.
Summer break!
Let's go play Wolfweb.
Wolfweb! Anyway,
yeah,
sorry. Yes.
Yes.
I was a little disappointed that we didn't get the Fire Witch. But maybe in the next story, whenever that gets done, even though this one was posted in 2014, we might get a Fire Witch story. Which actually that would be really cool. That would be a nice setup for when they actually get to the camp, and then they have to deal with Fire Witches. Just saying.
Honestly, I don't think Fire Witches are that big of a deal.
They're probably
they're giving their child Fire Witch repellent. It's just like, okay, you're gone.
Well, no, see. it's deep, mosquito and fire witch repellent. So it's good for mosquitoes. You just have to spray it. For the fire witch, you have to put you have to use it to spray a sigil of like repellent on your cabin door. As I'm doing a pentagram in the air.
Of course, yes. Visual jokes are always welcomed on this podcast.
Exactly, clearly. One day I will just have you guys will just come in and you'll see a camcorder on a tripod.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah.
Alright. So the other issue that I had was in regards to the transitions.
Or lack thereof.
Yes. Very much so. Because it basically...
There's the beginning.
They go onto the bus and then they start reading articles and then reminiscing about the past.
And then the reminiscing doesn't end.
And then the reminiscing just keeps going. And then in the reminiscing, they talk about articles that the sisters had.
Yeah.
Which is in the reminiscing still.
Yeah, which is in the reminiscing.
Yeah.
But when they got to that point, it's like, all right, back to articles. Is he back on the bus?
No.
No.
We are still reminiscing. We are still in the flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah. I that's going to be my final thoughts regarding the story. Is there needed to be at least some kind of like. I feel like I almost forgot about the wraparound plot.
Yeah.
Of, like, her going to summer camp, and then it wasn't until the end and then like that happened. I was like, oh, okay.
It's a little jarring, but it's clearly laid out. Like, this is the present one. I'm gonna member for a while, and then we're back to present. Like, yeah, but it is clearly laid out.
Oh yeah, but it lasts. The flashback lasts so long that I almost forgot about the bus plot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like it could have used like something like a break in the middle to like remind us that she's on a bus going to summer camp that we're not actually going to get to in the story.
No percent. Why would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were my two main issues.
All right. Remember, Mikey, you can say good things about a story.
No, you can't.
All right. Sorry, that's my job on the show.
Is it? Mr. I have 1,000 grammar-related discrepancies.
Okay, yeah, those are grammar issues.
Okay.
But, like, when it comes to actual, like, plot and, like, things about the story itself and, like, the actual material presented, I try to find good things as much as bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, considering we're talking about good things, I'll have to go more negative again. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fair.
But this story, when it starts having... like the supernatural elves and werewolves and everything as commonplace, to me that takes all that creep factor out and it becomes more high fantasy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it is 100% like urban high fantasy. Basically.
It doesn't make it a creepypasta, or the creepiness just sort of drains when I'm reading it.
It stops being a creepypasta and just becomes a weird pasta, which is still a creepypasta. Because it stemmed from that. It's like weird fiction. Like, weird fiction stemmed out of horror fiction because somebody wanted to add a little bit more whimsy and silliness to horror.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do agree. It's not creepy at all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Like, this story in particular, like, of the Curtisville stories, like...
I mean, you say unfortunately, but some of the ones that we have the fondest memories of aren't creepy.
No, yeah. Case in
point, the one I don't even have to say.
I know. Our listeners probably know which one you've said so many times.
Yeah.
You've referenced it so many times. For the audience at home, that was the I dare my best friend to ruin my life, and I dare my best friend to end my life. I just, like, I get you, like, it's, but, like, that's kind of par for the course of creepypastas as well. Like, it's really just kind of a spitballing, like, throw everything at the wall, see what works.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, onwards to Gamer in Yellow.
Yes, indeed. So you got my first one, but I have some more possibly. Of course, there were the usual complaints to the police, various residents pointing their fingers at the usual suspects, the teenage pranksters, and budding criminal masterminds, my sisters included. The local hard rock garage band, particularly the one my albino cousin Yukio started, the vampires, ghouls, trolls, werewolves, as well as any foreign humans, especially the Chalmers. And then it goes to the next line. Just about everyone in town thought the missionary couple was especially strange because they had themselves, as well as their 7 kids, all genetically modified to closely resemble elves they were trying to convert. It almost sounds like, when it's talking about the missionary couple, it's switching to a completely different topic, because it's talking about all these potentially, like, criminal people, and then these people are weird, but it's not, like, directly accusing them of the fire and stuff like that. It's just saying, here's a bunch of actual criminal people that are usual suspects. These people are weird. Moving on. Yeah. It's just kind of weird also, how they're displayed.
Now that I read that, and I found it, like...
I read it.
No, I read it when I first read it, I found it whimsical, but when listening to you read that, I was like, there's a lot of, like, flavor glut in there. Like, that, holy shit, like... Just,
it's world building.
It is, but it needs to be parsed out a little bit more, like, a little bit more delicately.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so many words.
And that's where the creep flew out the window.
Again, I want a werewolf cop, like, noir horror story.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
7, you must be thinking to yourself when you read this blog, but didn't the police find the remains of only 6 kids along with their parents in their burnt-out mansion? Blog? Was my first question.
Apparently this is being styled as a blog, although it doesn't really...
It's so long, it can't be. Well, there's no, like, dates and stuff it should be, like, blog entry 1, 2, 3.
Or just one entry. Because you can have blogs that are, like, 6 to 7, like, 10 pages, 12 pages long. But, yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's not... It suddenly, this is supposed to be, like, presented as a blog, but it's not really formatted as a blog.
Yeah.
Like, even if this was all one part of the entry, which it could be, there is no date at the top. Or, like, subject matter, which I think would... If you're going to make it, like... present it as a blog, have that kind of be there.
Yeah. Also, 6 kids. The reader wouldn't know about this, though I suppose it's assumed that the reader is a reader in-world reading this blog.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting way to give out the information, actually, to keep it immersive, because the character would say it that way.
Indeed. Also, it is under the assumption that... it is possibly under the assumption that whoever's actually reading this, like us... have read the previous story, which it does detail that the 6 Chalmers kids were killed in the mansion.
Yeah,
from the previous story.
But even if this is your first one, it gives you information on
the events of the previous thing.
Yeah, and it lays it out in a way that makes sense for the character to actually say it.
Yeah.
So the character doesn't have to take it aside and go, for those of you who didn't read the previous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have an asterisk and then at the very bottom an asterisk.
Read this.
Read this for more detail. Yeah. Like an annotation, I think, is what that's called.
And then we get to the glass situation with the spooky thing. She took a pen from her jean pocket and rapped on the arm of the chair. 2443. So I translated this into Morse code.
Oh, did you?
If it's all dits, which is the quick ones, it's IHHS. If they're all das, which is the long one, it is M blank blank 0 or O. But those assumptions aside, there is a way to handle das with only taps, because a da is 3 dits in length.
Yeah.
So if you do 3 dits really quick, like dit, that's, if you can only do dots and you can't hold it, that counts as a da. So, taking it like that, the 2 can either be an I, which is dit, or it could be 2 E's if it's 2 dits slowly, and then the 4 can be an A, an N, an H, the 3 could be a T or an S. So, I
think... Are there any words made out of those combinations?
Kind of, not really.
Well, look at the cryptographer over here. But, I actually, your first thing, the first thing that you brought up, the IHHAS?
IHHS.
HS. Okay, I was going to say, that could have been I has, the person was trying to, Morse code, I have the hand.
Oh. I has. It's entirely possible that they just messed up the Morse code.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah, I'm not really, I didn't really know what more what the tapping really like, what the pattern was like, and I didn't look it up.
It didn't have a meaning in the story, but I found meaning, kind of. So if it is dit dit da dit and then dit da da, it's in period at in at, which doesn't really mean much, but they're words.
Yeah, they are words.
And then if it is dit dit da, or sorry, dit dit da, no, but I did it twice. Dit dit da dit dit. Then it is IA and S. Or if you put it together, then it's Ian's. So the ghost name is Ian, and it's just look in there and be like, "You're in my house. This is Ian's." So I've affectionately named the ghost character Ian.
But the ghost character was...
I don't care. The ghost character is Ian and has taken the face of that character.
Yeah, the question is, what is... What's that?
A fantastic song. Okay. That's what that translates out to.
Yes.
Yeah. But moving aside, so actually while we're here, the picture that's on this, is that possibly Ian? Slash whatever actual name is.
The actual name, Woodley?
Ian. It's Ian now.
Is it Woodsley?
Ian.
Or Woodley, yeah. Give me a second.
Because it did say like the monster was like falling apart as they were hitting it, like the head fell off.
Yeah, because it's an ectoplasmic ghost.
Named Ian. It doesn't have a name, so I'm giving it one.
They gave it a name.
No, they didn't.
Yes,
they said
did.
The face resembled that person.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that person became
Jane Woods. Yeah, but I knew who it was. It was Jane Woodley's face.
Yeah.
No one else in town had.
If I rip your face off and wear it, am I you?
Wow, that is horrifying.
Let's find out.
So again, like if that's going to be the case, then that I want more of that in the story.
Indeed,
of, like a face-stealing like demon thing in Curtisville, and that is a bad. Evan Pratt, please write that story of like a face-stealing.
His name's Ian.
A face-stealing demon named Ian.
But yeah,
wow,
we're stupid here. Moving on.
We like to have fun here, is what we're saying.
Either way, the picture.
Yes,
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
it actually sort of resembles what it could be.
Yeah, it actually works
because I quickly looked through the previous ones. I recall most of the pictures didn't really have much to do with the story itself.
The one that's
the previous one had popcorn faces and had nothing to do with popcorn.
Yeah, that was probably. And then the canary one had a house burning, right?
Maybe.
And then
if that's the case, then probably.
And then the one before that was.
I think it was a girl with like purple hair.
Yes, something. Yeah, and that made sense because that was the Medusa girl. That was the purple-haired Medusa girl.
All right, well, never mind.
And then the one before that was a like foggy, like coiling thing.
So maybe the one that doesn't make sense is the popcorn. Then.
Yeah, really. And I think it was supposed to be like the things in the vending machine.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, it didn't really look that way.
Either way, moving on.
Yeah.
Kyoto's intense dislike of Jane Woodley, I could have found that really quick right here, was quite understandable. She was a dwarfish, blah, 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 blah. So, when I first read this, I read this as she was dwarfish. I was about to Google what a dwarfish was, like WAR dash fish.
Dwarfish?
Dwarfish, yes. I mean, considering half owl people are a thing, dwarfish could be a thing.
You're not wrong. Yeah, like there's a lot of like interpretation here.
Mm-hmm. That's entirely just me reading it wrong, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I could have found this thing really quickly too, because she had syndacity or whatever it was. Oh, well, I didn't know how to note on it. It's not on it.
Wait. Sorry, let's just rewind for a second. You didn't know you added that as a comment or as a thought?
No, not about it's kind of about that. I've had a lot on my mind lately.
Apparently,
I finished the second recording thing at 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay,
I've been busy. Either way, because she had the web finger thing. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And my note is essentially, I like the way that the word is put in here. I was about to Google it, but then it was immediately answered for me, so I didn't have to Google it. Mm-hmm. And it's put out in a way that makes sense because it's the characters telling the other characters what they are because they might, or what it is because they might not know.
Exactly, yeah.
And then moving on to the ending. Because of how 90% of the story is told through a flashback, it is jarring when it reminds us, though important that it did, that she's looking at a photo on the bus.
Yeah, it finally gives us, why do you have this long-winded flashback?
Yeah.
Oh, because of this photo.
But the photo appeared
At the very
end of remembering.
I know.
Either way, the photo didn't trigger it. Either way. The fact that Nair is going to summer camp has no real impact on the story at all.
No, it doesn't.
It's been so long since we got to the current time segment, I had to go back to see if it started because of the photo situation.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Well, I think it kind of does, but she doesn't straight up say that there was a photo there. She was just leafing through her newspaper, and then she goes into reminiscing. So, and then she says at the end, the reason why she was reminiscing was because she flipped through the pages of her newspaper, there was the photo there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that
and like, how did that photo get there between the pages of her brand new newspaper?
Yeah, if that is the case, though, it could be said a little more clear, as in, like, I flipped a page and there was a photo there, which made me remember blah, 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 blah.
Exactly.
Blah.
I'm 100% with you on that, because, yeah, like, it's not mentioned till the end, and then, like, again, it leaves you kind of like, okay.
But yeah, it kind of seems what happened is she was thinking about what happened, and then in doing so, it manifested the photo in the paper.
Yeah.
Through magic, which is not
uncommon or unheard of.
That's plausible. And what does the disappearing kid in the photo even mean?
I don't know. I honestly don't know what that means. Like, that's the other problem with the revelation is, like,
yeah,
I really didn't get what the meaning behind it was. Mm-hmm. Like, is it? I mean, because all the faces are blurred out and they're hovering above the air.
Yeah.
So they're clearly some kind of supernatural entities. Or is it?
Or that could have
been the face-stealing demon,
mm-hmm.
is slowly taking people's faces.
Possibly. But the one that he had on wasn't one of the Chalmers. So it wasn't one of the people floating.
But those aren't. But those. It's 5 kids, not 6 or 7, depending on who you talk to in Curtisville about the Chalmers.
I thought it's assumed that the picture is of the Chalmers, and originally there were 7, but because of whatever reason, one of them's gone.
But now there's
which knocked it down to 6, and
which then knocked it down to 5 because there was originally
when
5.
they found it, and now it's 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like there must be another story, like maybe coming up. Maybe there was an intention for a story to come out that just hasn't come out yet, or they haven't posted. Like Emma Pratt hasn't posted them yet. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I just don't understand what he was getting at. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Like I find it's a nice creepy moment when like, oh shit, like this photo that was supposed to be locked up is there. Like how to get there. But the significance otherwise of that, like the context of it, isn't there for me to like, why is this significant?
If in the flashback, what happened was her sisters were just hanging out, and then all of a sudden, like the photo appeared somewhere, and then when that happened, a monster attacked them through the window. Then okay, the photo appearing means that something bad's going to happen.
Like if they heard the tapping on the window. And they go to investigate, and they find the photo on the inside of the window, just like standing up on the window pane. And they pull that out. I was like, "What's this?" And then look back at the window, and there's the face there, and like the ghost thing. And like,
yeah, if that's what happened,
that's would have made more sense. Yeah,
but because they found it on the bottom of
somebody's shoe when they were they found it on the bottom of one of their shoes while chasing the ghost.
Their shoes?
Yeah, it was under one of the sisters' shoes.
So it fell out of the monster's pocket kind of deal, and they stepped on it, and it got stuck to their shoe?
Yeah.
Or something? But a little bit of better of a wraparound for it.
Yeah, because, I mean, the whole picture thing is like, well, they could just be remembering it wrong. Like, they thought there was 5 people in the picture, but there was only 4 to begin with, so that removes any spookiness, because we don't even know why the photo was really there.
Yeah, like, there is, like, out-of-context creepiness, and then there's just out of context.
Right.
like confusion. Like the only thing that we know that why it's spooky is like again like what's presented on the photos, which is out of context. We don't know what's the significance of it. And the sister mentions it must be hoodoo.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. We needed a little bit more context to that.
Yes.
Speaking of the picture, it would be cool to actually see the picture.
Yeah, if that had been the actual like.
But if
maybe
it's
at the
something,
end, though, or at the bottom.
yeah. But I don't know how most creators go about getting pictures, whether or not they get them commissioned or just find them online and do a story around them.
Yeah, well, with M.M. Pratt, it seems like they on their DeviantArt account, because that's where they also post some of the stuff. They're an artist, so they all these pictures that they've done are, as far as I know, like their own creations.
Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't aware.
Yeah. All right. So, are you done though?
Like you just assume I'm done just because my phone's down and my arms are crossed, like I'm not ready to do another one. How dare you? Yes, I'm done.
Okay. So
I had to check because I wasn't sure.
fair enough. All right. So on to final thoughts then, and I'm probably going to repeat some stuff that I've already mentioned, but whatever. So I have mixed feelings about this one. At first, it seemed like a fresh, separate story in the series, which I was fine with. I liked different events. I like different events and stories in a singular tied universe, especially with a camp plot involved.
There isn't though.
with all the horrific whimsy that comes with the Curtisville story. However, then it goes into a flashback for the majority of the story about the events of the Chalmers murders from the Far Lathe weather story, which we find out was in 2003. So we were close last time when we guesstimated when that story was taking place, because I think we thought like the early aughts because of CSI. And I guess this one, by that definition and by like stuff that was in the story, it's set in 2008. According to the story's collection.
At one point it goes back to 1999.
Yeah, 1999, but then 6 years later is when the character was... Yeah. So, now this time, the events are conveyed from a different party of characters, like in the flashback. And the back and forth banter, while stretching at points, even a little bit fillery for my taste, and just a little bit counterintuitive to info from the last story, it was also entertaining. I enjoyed the characters' dialogue as they recounted things to their little sister, who is the only unnamed character in this entire story.
She has a last name.
Yeah, but that's it.
It's Nair, and then last
Mizaki. Yeah, Nair, and then but we had like Mizaki, Kyoto.
The sisters never refer to her.
Yeah, exactly. Like, please, just guys, creepypasta writers, please name. I know you try to like do the like
self-insert
character, like throw the reader like into that position kind of thing for immersion level stuff. Give us a name for characters when it's needed, please.
At least we got a gender and a last name this time.
We did, yes.
So it's Miss Nair Aderman Satui.
Yes. But yeah, so all that said about like my enjoyment of like the banner and the character development stuff. That said, I was wondering what the point was of having the camping premise at the beginning and until the very end when we discover why there was a flashback. I feel it needs a reminder somewhere in the middle about the narrator's present situation on the bus about to go to camp. Otherwise, the reader might forget that setup or be left a little confused. I was a little disappointed, personally, when I realized that this wasn't going to be a camping trip story that I thought I was promised by the beginning.
We're not going to Disneyland, are we?
I mean, I'm not owed anything as a reader, like because I pulled the story from like the wiki page and stuff like that. I'm not owed that. I'm not saying I'm entitled to anything as a reader for it. But the story started as that and just kind of didn't even like transition like like tell you that we were going to go somewhere else. They just kind of flashbacked, and then that flashback just never ended.
We should come up with an alternate title.
Okay, yeah. Flashback.
That never ended.
No.
Ian's Rampage. Chick Charting Tales.
Yeah, the entire thing is just about the flashback.
Just thinking about it, the entire story, because it's mostly flashback, could have been told while taking a dump.
No, yeah, there's no I hate,
the start and end could be anything.
Yeah, it could have been anywhere. Like they could have been like in school. They could have been at home, like reading their paper,
Or taking a dump.
They could have been taking a dump.
Nicely said.
Like it just. There was a setup there for a separate adventure that just got like pulled under the rug, pulled the rug under it, and through this like flashback of a different perspective from the same events that happened in the previous story. It's like, but I wanted camp. I want summer camp horror.
We were promised summer break.
Yeah, the beginning promised summer camp. Like I want to see what a fire witch looks like.
Probably a witch that's on fire.
Just like an eternally burning, like, oh
Yeah,
my god. It's like a fire elemental in the form of a witch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because there's so much time between the beginning and the end. The reason why we had the flashback at the didn't really have much of a punch for me. Like, it might as well just not have been there. Or it might have been a different scenario, like we said. And again, like I've said, by the end, like the picture with the photo like coming in, it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, okay, so that's why there's a flashback there. Why the flashback happened. But I was not, I feel like there should have been more of a punch there.
If that's how it's meant to be intended.
Yeah, exactly.
That they were looking through the newspaper and there's a photo there. Oh, I remember.
Exactly.
Yes.
In the flashback.
If that's what was meant.
Exactly, yeah. So it's because of that and like the stuff, like because of the pros and cons that we've mentioned already, I half recommend this one. And it's on the low end of half recommend. It needs some work. And I hope we get another story where Nair, please give them a name, goes to camp and the weird Curtisville spookiness stuff ensues.
Well, so just name him Nair. Or her, actually.
Nari.
Nari. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if we actually... Oh, no, I was going to say, I'm sure if we had looked at like one of the previous stories where like they were all on a bus, we might be able to actually find this person. But then it's like...
Oh,
maybe. But that was set in the 80s, not the 2008s.
Damn it. Yeah. Can't do that anymore.
But yeah, so that's my final thoughts. I half recommend it. And just because of my love for the Curtisville style stories. But otherwise, the story does need a lot of work. A little or a lot of work, depending on like your view on it. Yeah, like that's it. That's all I got. Mikey, what do you got?
I'm not recommending it because without a fire witch, I was just left disappointed.
Right from the get-go, eh?
Yeah.
You're just done.
You're like, fuck this. The flip table. Done.
Yeah, and
Or were you reading on a tablet? Did you do a tablet flip? And then you broke your tablet and then you had to buy a new one?
no. That's why you have protective cases on your tablet.
Oh, okay. So you can tablet flip.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
So anyway, the story is mostly just a rehash of other stories, but from a different perspective.
Which is interesting, but
yeah, it's stuff that we mostly already know.
Yeah.
And then
Mostly, though, you do learn things.
yes. And then the actual story of Summer Break is just a guy going on a bus.
yeah.
And that's where it leaves. Like,
And that's it.
Look at me, I'm getting on a bus. Oh man, it is sure noisy putting that luggage away. I'm going to read this newspaper.
And then it's like, oh wait.
Yeah.
And
Like, it could have just been
pages.
getting on the bus to go home.
Or to go
school.
to yeah, or coming back from summer break,
Yeah.
or from a summer camp, and like, oh yeah, rereading some of my articles, and then it's like, what? I was at the camp for 2 weeks. That photo shouldn't have been there.
You really like that, don't you?
It's my flashback like sound effect.
I like that you have the hands, even though we're on an audio podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. It does actually go through your voice because if you're just going like not moving,
yeah, it does not have the same like kick to it in real life.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm left. Just
especially like since sorry, not to cut you off.
that's what we do.
Me too. But like, especially since the previous story, we kind of had the hopes that the next story was going to be about like werewolf cop or like that kid, like a further investigation of that night. But then like a couple of years go by since the events of the Chalmers, so like nothing got resolved.
yeah.
It's just another incident in the world. So it's like,
Yeah. All right. So, Gamer Neil?
I'm kind of agreeing with both of you in a way because I can't really recommend it because like there's a lot of things that don't really make sense. The wraparound segment doesn't really have to be there. It could just be the entire flashback as the entire story.
yeah.
And it not be called Summer Break because it doesn't have to do with Summer Break. And there was things that didn't make sense in it, like the tapping on the window felt like it was because it's so specific.
Yeah.
The amount of taps, I thought it was going to mean something. Hence why I learned Morse code to try to.
You became a cryptographer.
I did, trying to figure out the meaning of
I
this.
see the diploma. It's hanging on the wall.
Yeah, I brought it. I don't know why.
Yeah, like you figured it would have been explained, like why it was like 2455,
It was 2443.
2443,
24 and then 43.
43. Yeah, like you think there'd be a meaning behind that.
Yeah, like it would happen in the end wraparound where they would hear that and then, oh no, the creature's going to be there.
Yeah,
So,
but
it didn't happen. So that was kind of unnecessary, and the wraparound was unnecessary. So a lot of it was kind of
unnecessary.
Yeah, it would have been like
It
you would get the exact same story out of there with a lot of stuff cut out.
Yeah,
So
I will say that this was better presented than the previous story because we had some issues with the previous story because it was just showing and not telling, or no, it was telling and not showing. Whereas in this one, it was kind of doing a nice blend of both. Like it was showing, but it was also telling, but not. It wasn't like gratuitously telling, and like so, you felt invested at least a little bit in this one more than the previous one.
But yeah, long story short, I would recommend it if the wraparound segment was actually more directly tied to the story. The tapping had something to do with it.
You know what? I'd even recommend it if the story was expanded upon. Like, this is just the beginning of the story. Like, these 9 pages of a longer story. I know it's going to be a longer read, but 9 pages of the beginning of the story, and then we go into the summer camp and why that photo has some significance at the summer camp.
Well, it could do something like it's talking about how this happened, and my sisters told me this and that. And they're telling me this as a warning, or they're reminding me of this because of a warning, because this creature could be where I'm going for summer camp. And then it ends with the both wraparound segments as one segment at the end of the character going to summer camp, leading up to another story.
This one's called Summer Break. The next one's called Summer Camp. And it even says like in the flashback, it does even like the sisters like warn her about like the creature being sighted near the park or near the camp, or like something is is near the camp.
When Nair says like, "Oh, you tell me this because the creature's there," and they're like, "No, there might be a Bigfoot there, but you're fine."
Yeah, it's like so.
Why are you telling me?
Thanks for. This is why I said like some of it becomes just filler, is because it just like. Don't get me wrong, I like the character talking and the world developing, but like at the same time, it's like, what does this have to do with the plot of your story at this point in time?
And like you said, a lot of it is character building, and that's fine, but a lot of it is told, but for no real reason.
Yeah.
And it just kind of adds to the length. And so overall, I can't recommend it, but with stuff being chopped up and the wraparounds being put at the end to allude to another story. So this story is the setup to why they're prepared for things to go bad in the next story at camp, then I would. But right now I can't.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're on Twitter, so you can leave us some comments there. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without the W, because they took the last space he needed for W, and they used it for the at.
Sure, that's why.
Yeah, clearly.
Or just because my name is stupidly long and I can't do anything about it.
Mate, you could just do Gamer in Yellow.
No. I mean, I could, but I don't care.
Okay. And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. Or you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. If you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon. Go to Al Dente Rigamortis on Patreon and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with extra episodes, special content, and early access. And to our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the writers of these stories, thank you immensely. Seriously, guys. Because without your listenership, we wouldn't have a show. And without your stories, we really wouldn't have a show.
Without your writership.
Thank you. Yeah, without your writership. Yeah.
I just said as a joke. If you want to use it, go for it.
And without your writership, we really wouldn't have a show.
Trademark the Gamer in Yellow. Because I noticed that you just repeated that so you can cut out me suggesting it. I know your tomfoolery.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, of course.
Feature me. Oh, eliminate Gamer in Yellow.
No! How dare you?
So until next time, I've been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well. Why is the DVD playing? I think it's the DVD player, is it?
Well, that says
Yeah,
play.
it hit play.
Oh, did you you may have...
I set that down on the ground without touching a single button.
Nice.
And then it just started.
Weird.
No, wait, this is... Oh, that's the same one, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say...
How did that trigger just from me putting it down?
I don't know.
That is odd.
Ghosts.
Anyway.
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 Ghosts.